Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So, the Trump administration appears to be actively trying to cover up for the killer of Renee Good. That was the mother of three. She was the Michigan or Minnesota woman who was shot in cold blood by one of Donald Trump's brown shirts. So, I have news on that front. I also have a leaked video to share with you guys. This is from the cell phone, I believe, from Jonathan Ross. That is the man, quote unquote, I use that term loosely with him, who killed her. And it appears he may have killed her simply because she and her partner hurt his little feelings. Also, this video that I'm going to share with you, this leaked video, was shared by a member of the Trump administration who ridiculously believed this was going to exonerate Ross. So you definitely want to stick around for that. Before I dive into the details, though, please do me a big favor. Hit the subscribe button below this video. It is free for you. Really helps the show. So here's what we've learned about the victim and the Gestapo agent who shot her. So evidently, Good has a 6-year-old son. He is now an orphan because his father died back in 2023. Good also has 2 other children. They are teenagers, or a tween, I guess. She has a 12-year-old and then a 15-year-old from her first marriage. And their father told the Associated Press that the Trump administration is completely wrong about his ex-wife. He said, or he described her as a devout Christian. He said she took part in youth mission trips when she was younger. And then Good's current partner issued a lengthy public statement, which read in part, quote, "If you ever encountered my wife, Renee Nicole Macklin Good, you know that above all else, she was kind. In fact, kindness radiated out of her. Renee lived by an overarching belief. There is kindness in the world, and we need to do everything we can to find it where it resides and nurture it where it needs to grow. Renee was a Christian who knew that all religions teach the same essential truth. We are here to love each other, care for each other, and keep each other safe and whole. On Wednesday, January 7th, we stopped to support our neighbors. We had whistles, they had guns." We also now know who killed Renee Good. As I mentioned, it is 43-year-old military veteran Jonathan Ross. The Daily Mail went and spoke with his father. They also spoke with a bunch of their neighbors. And the neighbors described Ross as, quote, "a hardcore MAGA supporter," and with one noting that they'd seen Trump stickers and a "don't tread on me" flag often associated with opposition to government overreach outside his home. So that'll be used against him if it comes to a trial. And how ironic, right? The guy's flying an anti-government overreach flag while literally taking part in blatant government overreach. Anyway, we also know Ross was involved in another incident last year. So apparently he was dragged by a car, dragged by a driver. I mean, they want to blame Good for what happened to her. That's kind of on him. He seems to have a problem around cars because he stopped someone, and it was supposedly an undocumented immigrant with a criminal history. Who knows with the Trump administration if we can take that at face value, but that's what they're saying. And the guy refused to stop or refused to open his door. So this officer, Ross, broke his back window, and reached inside. And they're like, "Oh, he needed all these stitches and blah, blah, blah." Yeah, when you break glass and then stick your arm through it, you might get cut up. Now, it is on the driver who dragged him, but if he didn't have his arm in the window, he wouldn't have gotten dragged. So again, not following proper protocol. How about you shoot out his tire? How about you take down his license plate and go get him later? How about you follow him? No, that would be the lazy thing to do. So anyway, Vice President JD Vance tried to make things better, and he's ended up actually helping the prosecution. So Vance appeared to, first of all, he appeared to concede that Ross has PTSD from that 2025 incident. That whole dragging thing happened in June of 2025. This is what he said. So he threw a tantrum during a White House press briefing, like, you guys are being mean. So here's what he said about that incident.
ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile?
You don't say. So he just gave the prosecution and Good's family and her spouse a major gift wrapped in a bow. They now have the vice president of the United States on camera admitting that Ross is traumatized by that previous incident. So he had no business being back out in the field. If you can't calm your nerves and work without flashbacks or being sensitive, as he said, to automobiles being around you, you have no business being out there. And let's be real about this. If this guy is so traumatized, he has, maybe PTSD from that previous incident, you would think that he wouldn't step in front of a vehicle again. You would think he wouldn't put himself purposely in harm's way in front of a vehicle. And according to every expert I've heard, they're taught not to do that. And this isn't some new recruit. It just came out today that Ross has been on the job for 10 years. So he should know how to handle these things. And as you heard, he's a veteran. So you would think he would know better than to stand in front of a vehicle, especially when the engine is still running, right? That's just common sense that anybody would know. Anybody could take their foot off of the brake and you get run over. But anyway, if I was related to Good, I would be finding an attorney. I'd be filing a lawsuit today for government negligence for allowing this guy back out in the field when he is, according to the vice president, is not emotionally ready. And here's why a private lawsuit is so vital, because they appear to be trying to hide the evidence from state investigators. So I mentioned that at the beginning. Here's an article talking about it. So Minnesota authorities have confirmed the FBI is refusing to share evidence with them. They have completely taken over the investigation and they're freezing out the state prosecutors and investigators. So understand, this means state investigators won't be able to review body cam footage unless they allow it, and that could show intent, it could show motive. It won't allow prosecutors to hear and see what was said before the agents approached Good's vehicle, what they said after the shooting. This is really important information because, as we've seen with other cases, ICE agents flat out lie to the courts. And then when their body cam footage is reviewed, the judges have heard them making statements or doing things to directly incite violence and or get a reaction from the protesters. So then they have a reason to be abusive. They have purposely rammed vehicles. They have purposely brake-checked protesters who were following them so that they could cause a rear-end collision, so they have an excuse to become violent. They've been caught on camera laughing and chucking multiple tear gas canisters out of their car windows just for fun, not because they were blocked or anybody was in their way or threatening them. So what's become clear is we have a government that is being run by a group of sociopaths, and they're emboldening more sociopaths. Speaking of sociopaths, Vance posted a leaked video on Twitter trying to further justify what now appears to be an intentional murder, because that's what he exposed. That's what it looks like, according to the video he just shared. This was a true self-own, because This is probably going to give Good's family and spouse even more evidence against Ross and these other agents to prove that they were acting with malicious intent. And also that Good absolutely was the opposite. She had no intention of harming this guy. So take a look at this video. So this is Ross filming, by the way.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking veteran. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the
All right,
car.
baby, come on.
Whoa! Fucking bitch.
So, as you heard there, Good told the officer 2 times, the one who claims she tried to run him over, I'm not mad at you. Now, taken in context, I believe what she was referring to is they were blocking her path. It was his SUV that was in the middle of the road. Okay. There has been reporting now since then that apparently she stopped, and there's a video showing this. There's like a Ring doorbell camera or something on a neighbor's house that they provided to the media. And it shows she was only stopped for like 3 or 4 minutes. And she stopped to let her wife out. Her wife told other people that, like, this is my fault. Like, she's blaming herself because she's the one that wanted her to stop. And she wanted to get out and see what was going on and maybe, you know, offer support to the protesters. So that's who you saw. That was the other woman who was, you know, giving him some lip, giving him some grief and saying, you want to come at us. Now, this proves that Good's state of mind was not that of someone who was out to harm agents or murder anyone. That's number one, okay? Instead of responding in kind, though, the ICE agents, as you heard there, are cursing at her and saying, get out of the fucking car. So she's saying, I'm not mad at you, I'm not mad at you. And agents just rush up to her car, get out of the fucking car. And then you can also clearly see in this video, Good is turning her steering wheel to the right before she accelerates. You can see that in the video, which means because Ross is the one, this officer who shot and killed her, he is the one recording it. So if we can see that in his video, he can see that in his phone. So he sees she is turning the steering wheel to the right to avoid him. And instead of moving out of the way or just letting her go and taking down her license plate, which is what they're supposed to do, he shoots her 3 times. If her intention was to hit Ross, she wouldn't have turned the steering wheel. She would have just driven straight ahead and hit him. It wouldn't have been hard. And the most damning part of this video, I don't know if you guys caught it, but right before you hear her car crash, you can hear one of Trump's brown shirts calling her a fucking bitch. Now, it's unclear who said it, but I increased the volume so you guys could hear it. So I'm going to play this again because I know it went kind of fast. But I want you to pay close attention to everything, the steering wheel, the what the officer said, what one of them said, calling her a name afterwards. This proves she had no intention of running this guy over. She could have done so as he was walking in front of her. As he was walking in front of her, filming her with his cell phone, and why? Why was he filming? This is a federal officer, was supposed to be working. Why are you filming this woman? And 2, why do those other officers feel the need to go rush up to her car and order her out? Which I have heard also that they don't have the right to do that. They don't have a warrant. She wasn't violating the law, as far as we know. She wasn't doing anything wrong. She didn't like abandon her car and leave it in the middle of the street. His car is abandoned and in the middle of the street, right? So take a look and just pay attention to all of that again. So again, this is Ross. He's filming. She could have hit him right now. If she was looking to run him over, she could have done it right there.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know.
And now that's her
It'll be the
wife
same plate when you come
talking
talk
right
to us
there.
later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking guy. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car.
And notice, I may have talked over it. I apologize. I'll roll it back so you can hear them call her a bitch again. Oh, sorry, guys.
Get out of the car. Fucking bitch.
As you saw, for someone who supposedly got run over, as Donald Trump said, was in the hospital, lucky to be alive, how is it that he's still holding his phone? He was supposedly hit by her car, and yet he is still holding and recording his cell phone with his cell phone as he's shooting her. How exactly does that happen? Explain that to me. It's just so illogical. It just shows you what liars they are. So ICE incited this incident by blocking the roadway. They aggressively approached her vehicle for no discernible reason. And then they shoot her in cold blood when she poses no threat. And then they curse at her and call her names afterward. Right? Either that or they were referring to her wife. Either way, they were clearly upset. They were clearly pissed off at these women. They also were in violation of DOJ policy to refuse her medical attention. So I don't know if you guys have seen the video, but there was a neighbor who approached the agents and said, "Hey, I'm a doctor. I'd like to help her. Can I go check on her?" And they just refused. You literally hear them on camera saying, "I don't care." So I want you guys to see, this is what the DOJ memorandum says about offering medical assistance. So it says affirmative duty to render medical aid. It says officers will be trained in and must recognize and act upon the affirmative duty to request and or render medical aid as appropriate where needed. Now, they did call 911, but because they still had their vehicles in the road, they were blocking the emergency vehicles from getting to her. So the ER, or not ER, but the paramedics had to walk in on foot and carry her, literally grab her by her limbs and carry her to their paramedic vehicle. Freaking clown show doesn't even come close to what this is. And here's the thing. Who knows if these brown shirts can even read their rules, right? Who even knows if they know what their own rules are? Because it was recently reported that DHS is hiring ICE agents who can't even read or write. I'm not making this up. So, I mean, I've always known that racists are some of the most dumb, ignorant, mentally handicapped people on the planet, but I didn't think that they were actually illiterate. That seems to be the case, though. So this was originally reported by the Daily Mail, which is a right-wing news outlet. And in their recap, Raw News wrote the following. They said, quote, the administration's 50,000 signing bonus attracted droves of unqualified recruits, high school grads who can barely read or write, overweight candidates with doctor's notes saying they're unfit, and even applicants with pending criminal charges. The report exposed how Immigration and Custom Enforcement took a blowtorch to hiring standards, with one Department of Homeland Security official blasting, this is a quote, we have people failing open book tests, and we have folks who can barely read or write English. They literally are recruiting and hiring the dumbest people in the country. And then the report went on to say that applicants are testing positive for drugs. Some have gang and white supremacist tattoos. And they wrote, quote, sex harassment accusations emerged, with a source describing to the Daily Mail predatory behavior during training. You seriously can't make this shit up. They're hiring the worst of the worst while claiming, oh, we're deporting the worst of the worst. Seriously, try deporting your own employees. And here's the thing, there's a lot of talk right now about whether or not Ross can be prosecuted given the qualified immunity laws that we have. So Democratic Congress members Eric Swalwell and Dan Goldman are currently drafting legislation to change the law. Now, Goldman explained their bill, and he explained how this would change. So he said, quote, what the officer is going to say would be that I personally, subjectively, myself, believed that she was driving her car right at me and using her car to try to run me over, and therefore I had to shoot her in self-defense. And because the standard is subjective, and it allows for the officer's own view to carry a lot of weight, it will be very difficult for him to be prosecuted with the current status of qualified immunity. So what this bill does is only for civil enforcement officers, not criminal enforcement officers who are dealing with really bad guys, not moms driving cars. It would say that it's an objective test. So it would basically put the onus on the judge and on the jury to go, should you have feared for your life? Like, was that reasonable? So that's how it changes it. This is a long shot, right? Because they're unlikely to get buy-in from Republicans and get them to vote on this, but we'll see. I mean, at least they're doing something, right? And trust me, they're not my two favorites. Like, these are corporate Democrats. These are sellouts. So I'm not like, rah, rah, oh, Swalwell and Goldman, yay, they're the greatest people, but they are trying. So I give them credit for that. But anyway, there you go, guys. Yeah, JD Vance he just stepped in it today. He did a lot of good for the prosecution. So I guess we should thank him. All right. I don't mean to laugh. I mean, this is a horrific situation, and I just so feel for her children. I really do. As you guys saw the other day in my video, I was just furious. I still am. All right. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Have a good weekend. I will talk with you later. Love you all. Take care.